The question about redefining national security, I think, is something that will linger and needs to be addressed. In my own world, in the intelligence community, I was often very proud to be one of the only parts of the government that either had the platform or the freedom to clearly state some of the risks. In the 2019 Worldwide Threat Assessment, it lays out language that's very, very eerily prescient of this moment.
Right.
But it also landed on page, I think, 21, right? So yes, it's a risk, but we still don't have it calibrated quite right, because the national security community and this government and other governments is quite substantial, quite large. They all have their own equities. So,
well, and but you raised, that's a valuable point to raise, which is even the smartest among us, we know very well that these things are in the mix. That they're it's like Sokolow, let's see, at Princeton. Rob Sokolow, he used to call the deep, powerful, dangerous unknowns around climate change, the known risks around climate change, the monsters behind the door.
Right.
So, and as I've written stories that are almost in a way inoculating me, saying, here's what I know about solar flares. Here's what I know about abrupt climate change. Here, so as a journalist, I could say, I've done all that, right? I've wrote 33 years worth of stories on climate change, and but then, as you say, it still ends up pulling back. It doesn't lead to a simpler decision space,
right?
Because they're all there and we know them, but we don't invest against the solar flare, and we don't. I've also written about earthquake risk. One of the blah 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 bang pieces I wrote was when after Fukushima, after the Japan quake, and a reader said, wow, if we can't get this right with tsunamis, even on a coastline where for centuries these stones were saying, don't build below this stone,
right?
How are we going to get climate change right? And it just comes back to this question of, is there some other mechanism that can create, or maybe we all know that we're not going to get it right. So then it comes down to, well, what are the capacities in society that we know if you tweak them a certain amount can get us through things a little more right than otherwise?